Hi guys, here's what you're going to need for today's project. Some multicolored pipe cleaners and this little Dollar Tree vase, 3 of the pumpkins. This tray is optional, I don't end up using it, spoiler alert. These green ribbons, these little LED tea lights, and some imagination. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take the labels off of the vase from the Dollar Tree. Thankfully this one peeled off pretty cleanly. There is nothing more annoying than when they leave that gooey residue. I also ended up taking the crystal stone band off of the top. I removed the raffia from the pumpkins. And I also ended up taking off the stems. We do not need the stems on the pumpkins either. They were not difficult to get out. You just kind of sort of wiggle them out of place and then pull them out. Just be careful that you don't crack the top of the pumpkin. They came out relatively easy. It doesn't matter which color pumpkins you use because we're going to paint them white. I just happen to have duplicates of these. So I sanded off the glitter on the orange pumpkin. I don't know what it is with Dollar Tree and glitter. They love to glitter everything excessively. So the next step is you are going to cover them in white paint. I'm using the Waverly white chalk paint. I was very generous with the paint because I always am. I'm very heavy-handed when it comes to paint. And I'm also impatient and didn't want to do thin coats like you're supposed to. So use your best judgment there, but I am always very heavy-handed with the paintbrush. I think I ended up doing about 3 coats before you could completely not see any of the lettering coming through. So now I'm just applying that last coat. You can tell I'm a little bit over it at this point, I think, by my strokes. So the next step was to start designing the costumes for the Sanderson sisters. I was just using sort of a loose interpretation. I started off by taping off some of the angles because I wanted to do half the face and half the body. So for Winifred, I just taped off V-shape and then ended up doing green, light green and dark green. And I can't remember her name. It's completely escaping me right now, but I ended up using maroon and orange. It's gonna drive me nuts that I cannot remember her name. And for Sarah, I ended up getting a little bit more detailed with the costume because she wears the corset and like the cape and has the purple hip parts. So to attach the hair for this Sanderson sister, I use a little bit of black in mostly purple, and I ended up gluing it on facing forward, and that way you just don't see the ends of the pipe cleaners. It actually looks more like a hairline. So you're going to bend it back, and then I ended up twisting her hair into this shape that she has, that infamous sort of poop emoji bun. And then to make curls, I just wound the pipe cleaners around a dowel and made these little spiral curls. And you can kind of play around with it, they're pretty flexible. So for Sarah, I just did like a side part and I glued it down so that you couldn't see the ends. And then I ended up giving her the spiral curls as well. And then of course for Sarah, I kind of gave her like long Rapunzel-ish hair because, you know, obviously she's the most attractive Sanderson sister, so she had to have the long, luxurious curls. So I got a little carried away with this part of the project. Admittedly, it was probably the most fun part for me, was doing the hair. I noticed she was looking a little sparse on one side, so I glued a couple extra pieces on there. Now we move on to the iconic Winifred. And she has these really bizarre Dracula sort of space buns. So we did orange curls, just wild orange curls, and then I just sort of started bending them into place to kind of form her hairdo. And everybody knows what her hairdo looks like. It's these mounds on top of her head, but they're kind of curly and definitely bright orange. So hers was fairly easy. I decided she needed a couple more pieces, so I think I added an extra one on. And she also has like that widow's peak going on, so I glued them on in a V in the front that I showed you. So I think I'm adding just one more for some filler. I don't know what I did with the dowel, so I'm just using my paintbrush. And then I filled that in to the middle space where it just looked a little bit less full, and just tucked the pieces around to the other side. And now the hair is done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the cauldron. So I took the stones off of around the rhinestones off, but it did leave a little bit of a glue residue, and that's okay because we're painting it black anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to cover this all in black paint, and then I'm going to let that dry and then apply a second coat. And now I need to start doing the faces. So I'm just drawing on the faces just a little bit from memory, and I looked at, some photos and went from there. And that's really it, guys. That's all you really need to do for this project. And once you get the faces designed, you will see that I added the little LED candles inside the cauldron, and then I tucked in the green curly ribbon. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you are interested in seeing more, I do have a couple more Hocus Pocus projects. But if you're interested, please subscribe. I love having you guys here. Thank you so much for my new followers and subscribers. Let me know what you liked about Hocus Pocus or what your favorite Halloween movie is, and I'll try to recreate some stuff from it. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching.